We can only see our records.
Were there any red flags? No. Were there any maintenance red flags that had been put out by DGCA? We understand two show cause notices.
I have seen this record for these aircrafts and the engines and the pilot record.
There are some reports that say that June 3rd and June 5th, there were two show cause notices from the DGCA. There are two questions that are being speculated on. There are only 2% of air crashes worldwide where the crash happens in the ascending period of the aircraft. Only 2%. And this AI-171 was one of those flights where, while taking off, the crash happened. With such low data in terms of percentage probability, what happened?
See, Navika, as I said, I am not an expert to be able to decipher this.
The Dreamliners are suddenly the bad boys in the fleet. There have been whistleblowers in the past who have raised many questions about the safety norms followed by Dreamliners. We meet in difficult times at a time when this country has seen probably the worst air crash in recent times. At a time we can still hear probably the cries of help that may have gone out at that time. I want to ask you, Mr. Chandrasekaran, you said this was the most difficult time that you and your company have faced. Where were you when you first got the information?
On June 12th, on that day, I was in Bombay in my office. I was in an internal meeting when I first heard the news. It was quite shocking and something that is incomprehensible that suddenly you heard. And it took me a few seconds to gather myself, and then immediately I rushed to the airport to fly to Ahmedabad. And you're dealing with it, people are calling you at the same time because people want to know more. People think that I would know more, but I was actually like anyone else. So that's what happened.
Did you initially hope that there would be some survivors, or did you from the word go know that it was a bad crash?
No, I was like everyone else was hoping that people will survive. You were praying like everyone else. God, what is happening? And somehow you hoped that people will survive because you have not seen the site. You are only hearing stories. So I was only hoping that damage will be there, but that people will survive, or how many will survive. These were thoughts that were going through my mind.
You must have read these stories too. There was the Joshi family. The father was settled in London, in UK, was coming back to pick up the wife and their 3 children. Those pictures have been there across social media, across various media, and the entire family was wiped out. Then there is the case of, there was Arjun Manubhai Patolia, who came to just give his wife's ashes away. She had died earlier. He'd left his 2 daughters, 8 and 12, back in London only to do the last rites of his wife. And now his children are orphaned. What would you say to them today, these people?
I think it is the most horrific story that you can ever hear. It is such a heart-wrenching situation. It's very, very difficult to console anyone who has lost a mother, a father, a husband, a wife, a son. It is very, very difficult to console. Whatever you may say, it cannot be sufficient enough to console them from this loss. So all I can say is that I grieve with them as much as they do. And when I say this, I mean it for me and all my Tata colleagues. We just want to consider them as part of the Tata family for life.
But there is no life.
It is.
They have gone.
But the families that they live today, we just have to be with them. All we can promise is we will be with them and I will be with them. But it's very, very hard to console.
How would you be with them? Uh, in what
Helping
way?
them in every which way, now and in the future.
Those two young girls, 8-year-old and 12-year-old, what are they going to do without their parents, and how will the Tata Group be with them?
So there are structures we want to put in place. One of the things that we have been thinking is to create a, say, for example, a AI-171 trust, and then which will be available to them to look after. But there are many things, it's only not the financial need. There may be other needs. So you've got to think through and then create the trust and other functioning infrastructure so that we can be with these families. Some will not need any help, some will need some kind of a help, some will need emotional help. We don't know. We have to find this out. But the point is, it could happen to any one of us.
Mr. Chandrasekhar, on the first day, there was a statement where you said you need a transparent investigation into what happened. I want to ask you, where have you reached with that probe? Because there would be one Tata investigation apart from the other investigations. So, what have you found so far?
See, this is a crisis or a tragedy of a gigantic proportion. It has affected everybody. Yes, the families are affected, but the whole country is affected in a manner of speaking. There is a lot of fear, there is a lot of anger. I can understand that. Personally, I have also traveled a lot. In my life, I used to travel 200 days internationally a year for 20 years. And I have faced flight diversions, flight cancellations, all kinds of issues. And every time one small thing happens, you get affected. And this I can understand what is the level of fear that would have set in. So everyone wants to know what happened. And I can tell you, I also want to know the same. Unless or otherwise we know what happened, there is no hope to fix it so that it doesn't happen again.
At any stage, have your people raised safety concerns on the Dreamliners to you?
See, practically speaking, there has never been a safety concern raised because streamliners have been operating globally for a very long time, from I think 2008 or 2009 or something like that. And R&D also procured them much before
You bought Air
we
India.
bought Air India. So it was bought most of these. I think when we bought Air India itself, we had 27 Dreamliners. And then we got additional 6 through Vistara.
But you must be aware of the fact that this is not only something that is surfacing now. The United States, the FAA, is investigating into some of these charges that have been made by former staff of Boeing. I want to ask you, the Federal Aviation Administration is looking at some of the exposes made by Sam Salepur, and then there has been John Barnett, who's raised some concerns, now late John Barnett, and they've said that these concerns did exist in the Boeing aircraft.
See, these are things that are being dealt with the investigative agencies in the US. But overall, 787s have been flying for a very long time. And in Air India, it has been flying 787 for a long time. And now we have to wait for the investigation. The investigation, if it throws up that 787 there's an issue, then we take a call.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.